tell me, what have you learned from your garden this year for this 2020 gardening season? I love calla lilies. I love caladiums. I love cannas. I love calla lilies. I love caladiums. I love cannas. And I also love growing fig trees. I love my garden. Yes, I do. I really want us to grow together, and I want us to experience the joys of the garden here in Catherine's Garden, and I want you to share your experiences as well. So the way you can do that is to leave a comment. Now, if you have not subscribed to Catherine's Garden, well, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the subscribe button now, and also hit the notification bell for more videos. And my garden is Catherine's Garden. So welcome to Catherine's Garden. Hello and welcome to Catherine's Garden. It's so good to be here with you today. Well, I just want to share with you 3 things that I learned from this past growing season from the 2020 garden. And I thought about this a lot. I was thinking, well, what is it that I learned? And the first thing that I learned, that I can grow canna lilies, caladiums, and cannas. And it at first surprised me how much I was able to bring out the beauty of them, and how at first they seemed like they weren't wanting to grow, but then in the end they ended up being the stars of my garden. At least one of them, because I love all of the plants and it's so hard, but they really made me happy. The canna lilies, the calla lilies, and the caladiums. Yes, and I had to learn to say that too, the CCCs. Then the second thing that really excited me and made me feel good about the 2020 garden was the fig trees. Yes, my fig tree actually produced figs this year, which was quite amazing, because I've been trying to grow this fig tree for the last 5 years. One time it did show a little sign of growing a fig, but most of the time, most of the years, it would die back, and then it would grow the leaves, but with no figs. And I was actually thinking of moving it from the location that it is in right now and moving it somewhere else, but I'm glad that I didn't, because this year it produced and it was fantastic. Now, the third thing that I learned was that I can grow kale from seed, and that might seem amazing to you, but I never really attempted it before. I would always buy the little seedlings from a grower friend of mine and use that. And she had curly kale, not dinosaur kale. But my daughter was interested in the dinosaur kale, and we saw the pack of seeds, and I decided that this time I was going to grow dinosaur kale. And I tried it 2 different ways. One by direct sowing, and the other way by putting it in a seed tray and then transplanting them out into the garden. And it was successful. So it has encouraged me to start to plant more of my vegetables, my own vegetables, by seed rather than purchasing it from the grower. Now that we're winding down the year 2020, I just wanted to go back and reflect some more of what did I learn during this gardening season of 2020? What were the things that really stuck out and made an impression on me and that gave me a lot of joy? And one of the things that I found that I really enjoyed learning about and doing, something that was different, something that I thought I couldn't do or that would not have worked in my garden, was growing canna lilies and also caladiums. I planted the caladium in these container here. It's starting to come up. So I'm going to water in the cannas, make sure that they get plenty of water so that they don't dry out. And I'm going to find a nice sunny location, a nice spot for them in the garden, and watch them grow. You just got to make sure that they don't dry out because they're a tropical plant and they like water and they like sunlight. you, at first, when I put them in the pots, it took so long for them to actually start to grow or show signs of growing. But then after a while, they just started sprouting up. And when the temperature was right, they just took off. So one of the things that I really enjoyed growing and learning more about is how to deal with those perennial bulbs that are summer bulbs, like cannas and caladiums and calla lilies. And they brought so much joy to the garden. And I also realized that they needed a lot of water and that they needed a lot of sunlight. And when they were placed in the right place in the garden, that they actually showed up. So one thing I must say, though, that the caladiums liked the partial shade. They liked the heat and they liked light, but they didn't want too much of it. They wanted partial shade or shade in the evening when the sun was the most hot. And they grew really well. Now, I planted them two different ways, the caladiums. One, I planted them in pots, but then I also directly planted them in the ground. I took them out of the pot because I was wondering, well, what in the world is happening with these caladiums? They don't seem to be growing. So I took it out of the pot and put it directly into the ground. And they did very, very well. They actually grew thicker and bigger. The leaves looked really, really pretty in that particular spot. And then with the calla lilies, did very well also. They needed sun and warmth, and they grew, and they were so beautiful in the pot too. And the cannas loved a lot of water. I had to continually water them, but I think they even liked being a little root bound because I had put quite a few in that particular pot, but it didn't matter. They came up and they grew really well and lasted for a long time. So I truly enjoyed planting canna lilies, caladiums, and cannas. Yeah, it was a really, really good thing. The second thing that I learned from the 2020 growing season is that I can plant kale. Now, kale was something that I would buy as a seedling, especially the curly kale. I would buy that from a grower and would buy the starts and plant them in the ground. But I never really tried it from seed. But this time, I decided that I would buy a seed pack. And I bought a seed pack of dinosaur kale. And I planted it in a tray. And I nursed it, looked after it, made sure that it was in a good environment, that it got plenty of sun, and that they were well watered. And the kale grew. I planted here these kale from seed. I just tossed the seed here of the dinosaur kale, and they're coming up. I thought that this would be a good location for the kale because I had planted kale here last year. Now this is a Brussels sprout, and it's just beautiful, so just leave it there. And these are bolted as well. These are kale. But last year they did very, very well here. I just decided just to leave them and let them go to seed. I really love the flowers. transported it to another location, still in the seed tray, out in the garden, and it continued to grow because it was getting hotter. And I know that kale, well, I thought that kale didn't really like the sun, but I found out that kale really likes sun, especially the dinosaur kale, that they like being in a in a sunny location, and that they actually do better in the sun. Because I planted the kale in different places, and the kale in the front garden where it gets the most sun and it's the hottest location, the most sunniest location, that the kale actually did fantastic. And then even in that area, I gave them a lot of compost and fresh soil, and the kale received what it needed, and it then grew, and it's looking fantastic. Even now, even in the snow, it's still looking very good too. So we'll see what happens to it as we go along, and if it will survive the winter and will still look good in the spring. So that's something to look out for. The third lesson that I learned from this 2020 season is concerning my fig tree. I purchased my fig tree about 4 or 5 years ago, and I planted it in the ground in a particular location, and each year it would die back and then it would grow new shoots. And I was thankful for that. I said, well, at least I would get the beauty of the leaves, because I really love the leaves of the fig tree. I think that they're just so beautiful and they add so much to the garden. So I was just satisfied with that. But then this year, I noticed that the figs were growing. And this year, I had my first fruiting of figs, and they were so delicious. Usually, I've been told that in our area that you'd have to bury the fig leaves or protect them, and I tried all of that, and it didn't work. I didn't try the burying, but definitely surrounding them and protecting them, and putting a lot of leaves and mulch over them, and that would help. But this year I didn't do all of that. I just said, what will be will be. I'll be satisfied for the leaves, and if figs come, so be it. But this year I got figs, and they were so delicious. I really enjoyed it. And what I think happened is that the root system is more established, and I believe also that the stems are much more thicker, that for some reason they were able to overcome the winter. We didn't have a harsh winter, and we didn't have a lot of snow last year. So I believe that the figs had a chance to remain and be established, to grow, to not be overwatered. It was just good conditions, perfect conditions, and that caused the fig tree to produce. I just wanted to share with you the name of the fig tree. It's called the Hardy Bensonhurst Purple Fig, and it looks like that inside. And when I opened up the fig and I saw it look like this, I knew that we were onto something. It is so good to have it finally ripen. So, you know what else encouraged me is when I saw this picture of a ripe fig, and it just encouraged me because it made me realize that my fig was looking like this, partially green with the purple bottom. And And I'm so glad I went by and squeezed the fig, feeling it and feeling its softness and its ripeness. So it says here to harvesting. Pick figs when showing good color. Do not let it over ripen on tree. Remove tough portion of stems from each fig and run underwater. Well, I didn't run anything underwater, but it tasted good. The whole thing was soft and delicious. Right, so here is the fig, and it's really soft. It has already begun to break open, so I'm going to break it open here so that you could see the interior. Wow, that is so beautiful. That's what it looks like inside. And I'm going to give it a try. Here we go. It is sweet. It actually tastes good. I love how it tastes here with fig. You know what it tastes like? It tastes like grape jelly. Have you ever tasted like Welch's grape jelly? That's what this tastes like. So if you like this video, then like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below. Comment down below those 3 things that you have learned from this 2020 growing season. And share it with us. We'd love to hear what you have learned about, what you have learned from your garden. So just share with us and leave the comment down below. If you have not subscribed to Catherine's Garden, this is a great opportunity for you to hit that subscribe button and also hit the notification bell for more videos. I have a lot of new videos that I want to share with you on seed preparation and all of the different things that I'm thinking of seed planting and garden design. And I'm so excited about this gardening season 2021. So come and join me here in Catherine's Garden. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time right here in Catherine's Garden. Bye. By the way, happy holidays and a happy new year. Bye. For more videos, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And thank you so much for watching. See you next time right here in Catherine's Garden. Bye.